it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen. Tonight's story is an idea I've been working on for a couple of years now, maybe a bit longer even, and it's inspired by the song Take Me to the Pilot by Elton John. You probably haven't heard it. It's not one of his better-known songs, but I love it. It's an absolute classic. And it's one that he himself admits he has no idea what it's about. The lyrics are fairly nonsensical to him and to the rest of us, but it's an awesome song. And it inspired, as I said, what has emerged as a story written by the one and only Darius McCorkindale, my nom de plume, my pen name. So, bear that in mind as you listen. This is it's been rolling around in my head for ages. I'm not entirely sure where I wanted to take it, but after all this time, this is about as polished as it's going to get. An intriguing idea, I think, and one I hope you're going to enjoy listening to. So, without further ado, Take Me to the Pilot by Darius McCorkindale. Who the fuck am I, Doctor? What happened to who I was? As a doctor, it's normal for such patients, utterly at the end of their tether, to resort to such language, even though we doctors are supposed to enjoy a degree of formality not reserved for other walks of life. Well, at this point in my career, I pay it no mind. Thank you for agreeing to undergo the physical exam, Elton, I began, and also agreeing to discuss your complete medical history with me before we begin. That should greatly expedite my ability to diagnose what's happening here. He was obviously in a very bad way. The signs of sleep deprivation were wrought into his features. He was adrift in a sea of nothingness and was close to drowning. I just don't want to feel like this anymore. Whatever it takes. I'd seen this many times before. As an expert in this particular field of human existentialism, I already knew the exact problem, but for the sake of appearances, I needed to let the patient work through the process on his own. After all, this patient was still more than salvageable. Well, now that we've used various diagnostic tests, including imaging studies and blood tests, to rule out physical illness or medication side effects as the cause of the symptoms, I paused to give him time to take this all in. Well, I think it's time for us to discuss what else it could be. At this point, I'd like you just to tell me how you feel on a day-to-day basis. I don't even really know where to begin. Well, I do, but it's important for this next stage of the process to come from him as much as it possibly can. Well, take your time. It's important to the diagnosis that you put your feelings into your own words. I guess I feel like I have, a distorted perception of my own body. Don't know how to really describe it, at least not in a way that makes any sense. I guess I kind of feel like I'm a robot, or I'm in a dream. I might fear I'm going crazy, I might become depressed, anxious, or worse. I nodded, taking in Elton's words. Elton, what you're describing sounds a lot like depersonalization disorder. It's a condition where people feel disconnected or detached from their own body and thoughts. It's as if you're observing yourself from outside your body or living in a dream. He looked at me with a mixture of confusion and desperation. So, I'm not going crazy? No, you're not losing touch with reality. People with depersonalization disorder are very much aware that what they're experiencing isn't normal, which is what makes it so distressing. Episodes can last for a short time or, in some cases, for many years, affecting daily functioning. What causes it? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Well, the exact cause isn't well understood, but it can be triggered by intense stress or traumatic events, such as abuse, accidents, or violence. It's one of several dissociative disorders which involve disruptions in memory, consciousness, and identity. He took a deep breath, trying to process the information. Is there any way to make it stop? Well, treatment typically involves psychotherapy, especially cognitive behavioral therapy, to help you manage your symptoms. In some cases, medication might be prescribed to address underlying issues like anxiety or depression. the first step is understanding what you're dealing with, and from there we can work together on a treatment plan. Elton nodded slowly. I just want to feel normal again. Yeah, I understand. And with the right approach, we can work towards that goal. You're not alone in this, Elton. We'll take it step by step. Elton nodded slowly. I just want to feel normal again. I understand, Elton. Now let's talk about how we can work towards that. Most people with depersonalization disorder seek treatment because of symptoms like depression or anxiety, not always the depersonalization itself. Now sometimes these symptoms go away on their own over time, but when they don't, or if they're particularly distressing, treatment can help. So, what kind of treatment are we talking about? The goal of your treatment is to address the stress and triggers associated with the onset of the disorder. The best approach depends on your individual situation and the severity of your symptoms. Now, psychotherapy, especially talk therapy, is usually the primary treatment. Cognitive therapy can help change any dysfunctional thinking patterns you might have. Will I need medication? Let's take things a little slower, Elton. Medications are not typically used to treat depersonalization disorder directly. However, if you're experiencing significant depression or anxiety, an antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication might be helpful. Sometimes antipsychotic medications are used to help with disordered thinking and perception. Elton shifted in his seat, considering the options. What about my family? They don't understand what I'm going through. Family therapy can be beneficial. It helps to educate your family about the disorder and its causes, and it can also help them recognize the symptoms if they recur. This support system can be very important for your recovery. Are there any other types of therapy that might help? Yes, creative therapies like art or music therapy can provide a safe and expressive way to explore your thoughts and feelings. Clinical hypnosis is another option. It uses intense relaxation and concentration to explore thoughts and memories that might be contributing to your symptoms. What's the outlook for me then? Can I really recover from this? Well, the good news is that many patients do recover completely from depersonalization disorder. The symptoms often go away on their own or after effective treatment that helps address the underlying stress or trauma. However, without treatment, additional episodes can occur. With the right support and treatment plan, we can work towards your recovery. Elton took a deep breath, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. All right, let's do this. I'm ready to start. Good. We'll take it step by step together. I then leaned forward slightly, my tone gentle but firm. Now, Elton, there's one treatment that might provide more immediate relief. It's called clinical hypnosis. By guiding you into a deeply relaxed state, we can explore your subconscious and potentially uncover the root causes of your depersonalization. Elton's eyebrows furrowed in skepticism. Hypnosis? You think that'll actually work? I understand your doubts, I replied, but hypnosis can be a powerful tool. It allows us to access parts of your mind that are usually hidden, bringing buried memories and feelings to the surface. Many patients find it really helps them make significant breakthroughs. Elton hesitated, glancing around the sterile office. I don't know. It sounds kind of out there. Oh, you're right to be cautious, I said, nodding. But consider this. You're here because traditional methods haven't worked. This is another option, one that could bring you relief faster than talk therapy or medication, and I'll be with you every step of the way. A long silence stretched out between us as Elton weighed his options. Finally, he sighed, a mix of resignation and hope in his eyes. All right, I'll try it. What do I have to lose? Excellent, I said, a hopefully reassuring smile on my face. Now, let's get started. Elton settled back into the chair, feeling a flutter of nerves in his stomach. I dimmed the lights and began speaking in a calm, rhythmic voice, guiding Elton through deep breathing exercises. Focus on your breath, I instructed. Inhale slowly through your nose Hold it and exhale through your mouth. Elton followed along, feeling his body gradually relax. My voice was soothing and steady. Imagine a peaceful place, I continued. Somewhere you feel completely safe and calm. Picture it in your mind and let yourself drift there. A warm sensation spread through Elton's limbs as he visualized a tranquil beach, the gentle waves lapping at the shore. His eyelids grew heavy, and my voice had now become his only anchor to reality. You're doing well, Elton, I softly murmured. Now, I want you to go deeper. Let yourself sink into a state of complete relaxation. With each breath, feel yourself going deeper and deeper. Elton felt as though he was floating, weightless and free. My voice guided him further, urging him to explore the recesses of his mind. You're safe here, I said. I want you to go back to a time when you first felt disconnected. Allow the memories to come to the surface. Images began to flicker in Elton's mind, fragmented at first, then gradually forming a coherent picture. He saw himself as a child, standing alone in a dark room. The sense of detachment washed over him, more intense than ever before. Now, tell me what you see, I prompted gently. I'm in my old house, Elton said, his voice distant and hollow. It's dark and I feel so alone. Good, I replied. Let's explore this memory together. What happens next? As Elton delved deeper into his past, the details of his childhood began to unfold, revealing the moments of fear and isolation that had shaped his experience of the world. My voice remained a constant guide, helping him to navigate the labyrinth of his subconscious. With each revelation, Elton felt a weight lifting from him, the long-buried emotions surfacing and dissipating. He was beginning to understand the origins of his depersonalization, and for the first time in a while, he felt a glimmer of hope. As Elton's breathing slowed and his body relaxed further into the chair, I observed him with an almost clinical detachment. I maintained my soothing tone, but my mind was focused on the next phase of my plan. You're doing very well, Elton, I said, my voice steady. Now I want you to go even deeper. Let your mind drift until you reach a state of complete relaxation. Elton's eyes fluttered closed and his body went limp. I continued to murmur softly, guiding Elton into a semi-comatose state. Once satisfied that Elton was deeply under, I stood up and crossed the room to a cabinet, revealing a sleek piece of scientific equipment. I returned to Elton's side, carefully attaching the apparatus to his head. The device resembled a futuristic helmet with electrodes and sensors that monitored brain activity and displayed it on a nearby screen. I adjusted the settings, my eyes flicking to the monitor as it powered up. The screen quickly hummed to life, displaying a detailed image of Elton's brain. Patterns of electrical activity danced across the display, revealing the inner workings of his mind. I watched it intently, my expression a mix of curiosity and satisfaction. Now, activate the neural resonance scanner, I instructed my unseen assistant through a small intercom device on my desk. A moment later, my assistant entered the room, a young technician with a clipboard. She nodded and began adjusting additional controls on the apparatus, fine-tuning the settings to enhance the resolution of the brain scan. Good, I muttered, more to myself than to my assistant. Now let's see what we're dealing with. The screen's image sharpened, and the intricate details of Elton's brain became clearer. I leaned further in, studying the neural pathways and synaptic connections. I was searching for any specific anomalies, patterns that might otherwise explain the profound disconnection Elton felt from his body, well, apart from what I already knew to be the true reason. There, I whispered, pointing to a cluster of unusual activity deep within the temporal lobe. Increase the magnification on this section. My assistant complied, and the image zoomed in on the targeted area. My eyes narrowed as I scrutinized the display. I had, of course, seen similar patterns before, but never with such clarity. It was as if Elton's brain was broadcasting a signal, a distress call from within the depths of his subconscious. "Right, prepare the neuro interface," I ordered. "We need to delve deeper into this anomaly." My assistant hurried to set up another piece of equipment, a sleek console with a series of complex controls. As she worked, I continued to monitor the screen, my mind racing with possibilities. This was, of course, no ordinary case of depersonalization disorder. There was something unique about Elton's brain, something that held the key to understanding the human mind's most profound mysteries, and our continued presence here. With the neuro interface ready, I began the delicate process of linking it to the apparatus already attached to Elton's head. This would allow me to interact directly with the neural signals, exploring the depths of Elton's subconscious in ways traditional therapy could never achieve. "Elton," I said softly, even though I knew the young man could not respond in his current state. "We're going to find out what's really happening inside your mind, and with any luck, we'll finally bring you some peace." As the neuro interface established its connection, I took a deep breath, ready to plunge into the uncharted territories of Elton's psyche. The neuro interface hummed as it established its connection with Elton's subconscious. I adjusted my headset, and the images on the screen shifted, providing a direct view into the intricate neural landscape of Elton's mind. I focused intently, searching for the signal I knew was there. After a few moments, the connection stabilized, and a new voice resonated within my mind. "Pilot Torpin," I said, my voice filled with a barely controlled anger. "Do you realize the damage you've caused by neglecting your duties?" There was a pause, followed by a petulant reply from within the depths of Elton's mind. "This human is boring," Torpin complained. "Being his neuropilot is no fun at all. He's so predictable, so mundane." I clenched my jaw, struggling to keep my temper in check. "Maintaining the mission is all important, Torpin. We have protocols for a reason. Too many humans are waking up to their realities, and your negligence is contributing to the problem." Torpin's voice, echoing through the neural pathways, carried a tone of indifference. "Protocols, missions, it's all so tedious. Why should I care if a few humans start questioning their reality? Not like they can do anything about it." My eyes narrowed as I studied the patterns on the screen, observing the chaotic flux of neural signals that reflected Torpin's rebellious attitude. "Your job is to ensure that they don't question it, Torpin. By allowing Elton to experience such severe depersonalization, you've jeopardized the integrity of his mind and our entire operation." Torpin sighed, a sound that reverberated through Elton's brain. "You just don't understand, Doctor. The monotony of this existence is unbearable. I need more stimulation, more excitement." I leaned closer to the screen, my voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "If you can't handle the responsibilities of your position, you can find a replacement who can. Your indulgence in seeking excitement has nearly cost us this human. Indeed, it is his very mundanity that we've honed in on. He's earmarked for high political office in the future. We need him to fulfill his potential so we can increase our influence over this species. Now remember, Torpin, the mission is paramount, and you will adhere to your duties." There was a long silence, the neural pathways crackling with tension. Finally, Torpin spoke again, his tone begrudging. "Fine, I'll do what you ask. Remember, Doctor, without a bit of freedom, even the most loyal pilot can become resentful." I took a deep breath, slightly easing the grip of my anger. Resentment or not, you will maintain your human and ensure he remains stable. We can't afford any more risks. Now, begin the recalibration process. Restore Elton's perception of reality and eliminate any residual anomalies. Reluctantly, Torpin complied, and I watched as the neural activity on the screen began to stabilize. Patterns of normalcy re-emerged, and the chaotic signals smoothed into harmonious rhythms. "Good," I said, my voice steady once more. "I remember, Torpin, the success of our mission depends on the seamless integration of our presence within these humans. We cannot allow any deviation from the established protocols." As the connection began to fade, Torpin's final words lingered in the doctor's mind. "Understood, Doctor. But don't forget, even the best-kept secrets have a way of coming to light." I removed the headset and sighed, rubbing my temples. I knew that the delicate balance they maintained was constantly under threat, and I could only hope that Torpin, and others like him, would remember the importance of our mission. For now Elton's mind was stable again, but I remained vigilant, knowing that the battle to maintain control over humanity was never truly over. That has long been one of my favourite Elton John songs. Not one of his better-known ones, but I just think it's phenomenal. It's from his early period, about 1970, I think, when he was just on fire. Absolutely phenomenal artist. So let's move on to the next story. This is, without question, one of my favourite bands of all time. Actually, one of the first bands, maybe the first band I ever went to see live when I was ridiculously too young to go down to London, 250 miles down to London to see them perform and then go back. Arrived home at 2 in the morning. So what the hell was I doing? Anyway, totally worth it. And this is, well, a lot of their songs are extremely well known. This is from the Wish You Were Here album. And I've always been intrigued by the idea of Welcome to the Machine as a concept, and something about, machines having a consciousness and being aware of what we're doing. And, well, let me not go into any more detail. I don't want to spoil the story. So here we go with my next Darius McCorkindale tale. Another one based on a famous song. Welcome to the Machine by Darius McCorkindale. That's me. As the night unfolded beneath a dense quilt of snow, its weight palpable in the air, Tom skillfully guided his car through the perilous twists of the mountain road. The tires, grappling with the icy surface, emitted a rhythmic crunch that harmonized with the haunting stillness of the snow-blanketed landscape. Each snowflake, a frigid dagger mercilessly assaulting the windshield, leaving fleeting imprints like a bunch of ephemeral crystals. Tom, a seasoned man in his late 40s, confronted the wintry onslaught with his typical, unwavering resolve. His hands, weathered and worn, clamped onto the steering wheel with a ferocious intensity, fingers pressed into the cold leather. Through the storm's relentless assault, he squinted, his eyes etched with determination, navigating the path with a focus that bordered on steely concentration. The luminous glow of the car's headlights fought against the darkness, revealing only the immediate terrain in its feeble attempt to pierce the snow-laden night. Despite the treacherous conditions, Tom laid into his car in typical fashion. Come on, you piece of shit. Don't let me down now. I never trusted you to get me anywhere. I'm trading you in as soon as I get the chance, you heap of junk." Within the confines of the car, Tom's hand fumbled blindly in the frosty air, seeking the solace of his phone. His fingers, nimble but withered, danced across the smooth screen with practiced familiarity, a choreography of muscle memory. The dim glow from the phone's display painted fleeting shadows on his strained face as he dialed. In those heart-stopping moments, it felt as though each second was stretching on endlessly, each fraught with the anticipation of the connection. The rhythmic pulsing of the dial tone echoed in the confined space, amplifying the air of tension. Finally, a triumphant chime resonated through the car's cabin. The call had connected. A sigh of relief escaped Tom's lips, dissipating like a visible breath in the cold, tight confines of the car. "Francis, yeah, flight was delayed. I know. Just then his eyes caught sight of a sign looming in the distance. "Rest stop." Listen, Francis, I can hardly see anything in this storm. I'm going to get off the road and wait it out for a bit. With any luck, I should be home around midnight. Francis? Hello? He glanced back at his phone, which displayed the unwelcome message, "Call disconnected." Crap. Goddamn phone letting me down again. First this heap of junk on four wheels, now my stupid cell phone. Is everything out to get me tonight? The air of frustration was evident in the deep lines etched across Tom's face, painting an image of worried discontent as he forcefully tossed the uncooperative phone onto the passenger seat. Now even the phone was against him. He felt as though his hand was somehow being purposefully forced, something nudging him toward the refuge the rest stop sign had promised. With a deliberate yet cautious turn of the steering wheel, the car responded, its tires engaging with the icy surface, causing the vehicle to elegantly slide towards the beckoning entrance of his temporary salvation. At least you managed to get me off the road in one piece, you useless old rust bucket. The exterior of the rest stop came into view, revealing a narrow lane that wound its way into a desolate, empty parking lot. Beneath the glow of a solitary street lamp, a modest concrete structure emerged, its details still shrouded by the relentless fall of accumulating snow. The faint outlines of a few picnic tables manifested in the rear, mere silhouettes against the wintry backdrop. Tom's car glided gracefully into one of the empty parking spaces, coming to a rest in complete tranquility. Not even a single other vehicle was to be seen. As he emerged from the old rust bucket, he was greeted by a biting wind that sent shivers throughout his frame. Undeterred, he trudged through the gusts of icy air, each step accompanied by the crunch of snow beneath his boots, then made his way decisively towards the intriguing concrete structure, standing resolute against the wintry landscape. Tom hastily entered the building, making a beeline for the urinal. Unzipping his fly, he sighed in relief as he emptied 2 hours' worth of soda. As the relief came, he started to take in his surroundings. Inside the restroom, the scene was one of mundane neglect. Ugly, bland decor adorned the walls. A sheet of rusted metal served as a mirror, and broken tiles hinted at the extended passage of time since this place had seen its heyday, probably 50 years previously. Tom caught his reflection in the mirror. It offered him a too-perfect perspective on his current situation. God damn it. The biting chill of the night air clung to him as he hastily zipped up his fly, returning from the restroom to the comparative grandeur of the exterior of this barren rest stop. In the dim glow, a distant flickering light beckoned him toward a secluded alcove at the end of the building. In the shadows of the alcove bloomed a battered old vending machine, a relic of riveted steel that seemed to have just barely weathered the passage of countless years. Bolted firmly to the concrete floor, its 2 light bulbs, one broken and flickering, scarcely illuminated the interior. A rusty coin slot emitted a pulsating blue light that seemed almost too inviting. Tom surveyed its offerings, trays filled with nondescript soda cans and candy bars, each wrapped in no-frills packaging. A haunting logo adorned each snack, a creepy clown face with hypnotic eyes concealed by an oversized top hat. Below were the name and slogan. Which one's pink, Candy Company? We told you what to dream. Suddenly a metallic clank echoed through the empty parking lot as the wind whimsically tossed an empty soda can beneath Tom's car. Strange that it would happen at precisely that moment. He also thought he heard the engine of his car rumble in response to the soda can, but that was just plain impossible, he mused, and so he gave it no more thought. Tom then quickly turned his attention back to the vending machine, producing a handful of change from his pocket and feeding 3 quarters into the coin slot. With a few button presses, the machine roared to life. The thick metal spiral coil inside began its grinding motion, pushing a bag of madcap jelly beans gradually toward the eagerly expectant Tom. As he watched with gathering anticipation, the coil creaked to an abrupt halt, leaving the candy precariously dangling on the edge. Oh, come on. Don't say you hate me too. His frustration now palpable, Tom thumped the side of the machine, slapped the glass front, and resorted to a swift kick to the bottom. Truth be known, he'd always hated people who did this, seeing as it mostly happened when they were trying to get something without paying. But he'd secretly hoped that the vending machine gods were looking down on such assholes, waiting for the opportunity to exact their revenge. On this occasion, though, and in these circumstances, he felt justified. He had put the money in the slot, after all. The spiral coil reluctantly resumed its rotation. Oh, yeah. The candy leisurely inched its way forward, only for him to be thwarted once more. The blue light around the coin slot pulsated as if it were mocking him. Tom's gaze then fell upon a small white sign taped to the side of the machine. Flipping it over, he read the crude words scrawled in black pen. Use at own risk. Just wonderful, he thought. Remembering his sense of unease at being all alone in the rest stop, he cautiously surveyed his surroundings for any prying eyes. Satisfied that he was indeed isolated from the rest of civilization, he embarked on his covert mission. Slyly, he slid his hand into the vending machine's collection slot, the clandestine maneuver aimed at securing his elusive snack. Kneeling on the unforgiving cold ground, he extended his arm with determination, the chill of the snow seeping through his pants as his fingers delved into the machine's intricate inner workings. The struggle unfolded like a silent dance, the movement of Tom's arm navigating the labyrinthine coils and trays within the machine. Amidst this delicate operation, his hand brushed against an unexpected sharp edge, prompting an involuntary wince of discomfort. A sharp cry, merging frustration with a tinge of pain, escaped Tom's lips as he swiftly withdrew his hand, fingers instinctively clutching at the affected spot. Undeterred, Tom gritted his teeth and rubbed the small cut with the thumb of his other hand. He brought the injured appendage to his lips, sucking on it in a resolute refusal to let the momentary setback conquer his strength of purpose. With a steely determination, he readied himself for another attempt, placing his arm once again into the vending machine. This time his movements were more cautious, and he adjusted his angle of entry, determined to overcome the vending machine's mysterious defenses. His hand reached upward, fingers stretched to their physical limits, nearly grasping the prize. Tom's face reflected a blend of pain and concentration, his willpower urging the coveted snack into his possession. Oh, yeah. Come to Daddy. That's it. You got it. Almost there. The surge of frustration accompanied an ominous tearing sound as a sleeve of Tom's shirt caught on the edge of the spiral coil below his candy, ripping right through it. Ah, shit. In a panic-induced frenzy, Tom yanked his arm back. A sudden desperation etched across his face. Yet the sleeve of his shirt tenaciously clung to his limb, forcing an inescapable shackle that trapped his arm inside. Each frantic tug merely served to inflict futile, incremental damage, tearing the fabric of his shirt and embedding the coil even more deeply. Despite vigorous attempts, flapping his arm, pulling from side to side, the entanglement persisted, refusing to yield its grip. Taking a measured breath amidst the unfolding chaos, Tom's gaze shifted upward toward the coin slot. A moment of considered contemplation ensued as he retrieved a handful of change from his pocket, thumb sorting the coins with meticulous precision. 3/4 were chosen for the mission, and with a decisive flick, they found their place within the slot. The remaining coins returned to the sanctuary of his pocket. Transforming into a contortionist through sheer necessity, Tom adjusted his position with strained fortitude. His arm, now a reluctant participant in this perplexing dance, extended toward the coin slot. The 3/4 made their hasty descent. Buttons were pressed, and the vending machine responded with a cacophony of rattles as it sprang back to life. The spiral coil, once a relentless adversary, begrudgingly acquiesced, slowly grinding forward to the point of almost liberating the fabric from Tom's beleaguered sleeve. "Oh, yes," Tom shouted into the cold night air. His triumph was short-lived, though. The machine shuddered, the coil grinding to a halt before rotating backward. Panic flashed in Tom's eyes. No, no! With a malevolent persistence, the spiral coil mercilessly tightened its grip on Tom's sleeve, methodically winding more fabric around it with each ominous turn. A guttural scream of agony then erupted from his throat as his body contorted in tandem with the rotation, until... crack. Pain surged through Tom's entire being as his wrist snapped, a sharp cry escaping from his lips. However, the coil, indifferent to his pain and mechanically devoid of empathy, persisted in its relentless rotation. Another excruciating wail followed as his elbow splintered under the merciless pressure. Oblivious to Tom's anguished ordeal, the coil continued its relentless grind, unyielding in its mission to pull him deeper into the mechanical jaws of the vending machine. Tears streamed down Tom's cheek, his face pressed against the unforgiving glass, a silent witness to his arm's inexorable descent into the metallic abyss. Finally, with an abrupt cessation, the spiral coil ground to a halt. The vending machine shuddered and vibrated as it surrendered to a powered-down state, and Tom, overwhelmed by the cocktail of pain and exhaustion, succumbed to unconsciousness. In a cruel twist of fate, as if mocking his torment, the bag of madcap jelly beans finally emancipated itself from the clutches of the machine and dropped into the collection slot. Tom lay curled on his side, a thin blanket of snow already embracing his form. His arm was twisted within the machine's intricate coils. A distant phone ring pierced the quiet night, prompting Tom's snow-covered eyelids to flicker open. Shivering, he cast a gaze towards his car. Inside the vehicle, Tom's phone illuminated, revealing a profile picture of Francis and Tom in a tender embrace. "Oh, if that's you, Francis, please report me missing or something." The ringing then ceased, replaced by a notification on the screen. "Hey babe, can't wait up any longer. Hope you're okay. Be nice to the car and I'm sure it'll bring you home safe. See you in the morning. Love you." His body now weak and bitterly cold, Tom turned back to the vending machine, his eyes catching sight of something beneath it. A large glass jar with a piece of paper inside. Tom shifted onto his back, each movement accompanied by searing pain. Using his free arm, he reached under the machine, eventually rolling the bottle towards him with his fingertips. But then, he froze in horror. The machine's power cord lay on the ground, unplugged. What the hell? Looking up at the machine with newfound curiosity, Tom muttered to himself, "That's not possible." He retrieved the jar, smashed it, and shook the paper free. On it was written a series of cryptic words. "Welcome, my son. Welcome to the machine." Scrutinizing his hand, Tom observed the vice-like grip it now maintained around a long shard of glass, a fragment revealed to be as sharp as any honed blade. Faced with the stark absence of alternatives, he swiftly found himself compelled to employ this improvised tool. He pressed the glass tip coldly against his shoulder, a makeshift surgical blade poised to breach the fabric that clung to his skin. In the throes of uncontrollable tremors, Tom hesitated, his breath betraying the gravity of the impending decision. Gritting his teeth with a determination that teetered on the brink of surrender, he closed his eyes. The internal struggle played out across the contours of his face as he battled with the unthinkable. With a tremor in his voice, Tom spoke into the desolate emptiness of his surroundings, his words a poignant plea to forces beyond his comprehension. "Look, I've never been one to put my faith in God, and perhaps, just perhaps, that skepticism has led me to this juncture. But hear me out, please. release me from this ordeal, and I pledge to embark on a more virtuous path from now on. Frances always told me to be kind to machines. She says there's more to them than buttons and wires. Never thought too much about it. It was just so easy to see the bad side and blame my car and my phone and every other gadget when they didn't make everything all right. But, in the grand scheme of things, I've always believed there's more to gadgets and the like, as if they really could possess the semblance of a soul. So, here I am, reaching out. Grab me a sign, the smallest indication that you're contemplating a second chance for me. I swear with every fiber of my being I won't falter. I won't let you down. You don't know who I am or where I've been. Let this moment be a turning point in the narrative of my existence. And then, with a hint of desperation, so, what do you say, huh? Nothing. Silence. A profound, suffocating silence enveloped the air, its oppressive weight settling upon the desolate scene. During this hushed stillness, Tom's quiet sobs resonated, a heart-rending accompaniment to the solitude that surrounded him. As he lowered his head, the somberness of despair clung to him, casting an impenetrable shadow over his being. The outcome, it seemed, was already irrevocably sealed. Yet, as if the fabric of destiny had intervened, the vending machine stirred once more. It awakened with an unsettling shudder and a discordant rattle, the bulbs within morphing into an ominous deep red glow. A mechanical symphony ensued, resonating with the orchestrated movement of gears and pistons, the machine seemingly supercharging before Tom's disbelieving eyes. And then, the machine spoke. "It's all right. We know where you've been." In that moment, fear seized him, his eyes snapping open as the coil once more initiated its malevolent rotation, grinding backward once more. The air resonated with a sickening snap, an audible demonstration of the inexorable surrender of Tom's arm to the relentless machinations of the vending machine. Jesus Christ! A horrified shriek escaped him as he was inexorably pulled further into the collection slot, now up to his head, the machine seemingly devouring him alive. The sheet metal around the slot groaned and buckled, bending inward to accommodate Tom's head. Desperately he kicked his legs, gripped the slot with his free hand, pushing and resisting. But his feeble efforts were in vain. Weakened and helpless, Tom's head was swallowed by the vending machine in an instant. Inside the machine, Tom's moans echoed as the coil shuddered to a stop. He caught his breath, only for the top row's coil to start running, turning, grinding, and pushing a can of soda forward. Tom's eyes widened even further as the soda can tumbled over the edge, landing squarely on the bridge of his nose with a sickening crunch. Blood sprayed from Tom's nostrils, splattering over a tray of interstellar moon pies. A bulb exploded, showering fragmented glass onto Tom's face. His screams was drowned out by a hissing sound emanating from the machine's depths. Frantically, his eyes searched for the source. A hose had broken free, spraying pneumatic fluid everywhere, on the walls, the snacks, and directly into Tom's eyes and face. It burned him instantly, and Tom screamed as his face vanished beneath an acidic haze. The machine spoke once more. "Welcome, my son. Welcome to the machine." Outside, blood splattered from the collection slot, staining the pristine snow red. It rattled like a giant meat grinder, the noise almost joyous. The only sounds that lingered were Tom's muffled screams as his body was slowly but surely consumed by the relentless appetite of the all-consuming machine. So I'm not quite sure I nailed it, but that was an interesting concept that I wanted to play around with for quite a long time. finally got down to putting it down into words. Now, we're going to move on quickly, and I'm betting a lot of you don't even know the name of this song or who it's by, but it's commonly known as the Pina Colada song, and it's always one that I thought could just be so easily subverted into something completely different and utterly change the meaning. So it's a short one, but give it a listen and see how well you think I did. In the Dunes on the Cape by Darius McCorkindale. The dim glow of the streetlights barely penetrated the heavy fog that rolled through the quiet suburban neighborhood. Inside a seemingly ordinary house, the muffled ticking of a clock was the only sound disturbing the heavy silence. Jack sat in bed. The flickering light of the bedside lamp cast shadows on the walls. He was tired of his wife Lila. They'd been together too long, their relationship stagnant and lifeless, like a worn-out recording of a favorite song played one too many times. He glanced over at Lila, who was sound asleep, her face serene and unaware. As Jack flipped through the newspaper, his eyes landed on the personal columns. He read them out of idle curiosity, but one ad caught his attention and held it fast. If you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, if you're not into yoga, if you have half a brain, if you like making love at midnight in the dunes on the Cape, then I'm the love that you looked for. Write to me and escape. Well, his pulse quickened. An escape. The word resonated deeply within him. He'd fantasized about it many times, leaving behind his dull life and his cold, distant wife. But his fantasies often took a darker turn. Jack wasn't just tired of his wife. He had a sinister secret. He was a serial killer, his dark urges satisfied by the occasional business trip that took him out of town. The thrill of the hunt, the feeling of power, and the release of ending another life was the only thing that made him feel alive. Without a second thought about Lila, Jack penned a response to the ad, pouring out his desire for adventure, for escape. He didn't sign his real name, of course. He couldn't risk it. But he crafted his words carefully, choosing phrases that he knew would catch the mysterious woman's attention. The next morning he sent the letter and awaited a response with a sense of anticipation he hadn't felt in years. When the reply came, it was like a spark in the darkness. She wanted to meet, tomorrow noon, at a bar called O'Malley's. It was perfect. The day dragged on, but finally noon arrived. Jack walked into O'Malley's, scanning the room for the woman who'd written the ad. When he saw her, he froze. Her back was turned, but he recognized the silhouette, the way she held herself. She turned, and their eyes met. It was Lila. A moment of shock passed between them before Lila's lips curled into a slow, knowing smile. "Oh, it's you," she said, her voice a mix of surprise and amusement. They laughed, but it was not a laugh of joy or relief. It was the laugh of two predators who just realized they'd been hunting each other. "I never knew," Jack started, his voice low, "that you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain." Lila's eyes glittered with a cold, dangerous light. "And I never knew," she replied, "that you like making love at midnight in the dunes on the Cape." As they spoke, the reality of their situation sank in. Both of them had been leading double lives, hiding their true natures behind the facade of a mundane marriage. Jack saw it now. The nights Lila claimed to be at book club meetings, the business trips that coincided suspiciously with news of missing persons. They were alike, two sides of the same twisted coin. The conversation continued. There was a veiled dance around the truth. They were no longer husband and wife, but two killers who'd found their perfect match. The thrill of their discovery filled the air, charged with a dangerous energy. That night they didn't return to their dull routines. Instead, they planned their next adventure together. The dunes on the Cape were just the beginning. They were no longer alone in their dark desires. They'd found in each other a partner, an accomplice. The mundane was left behind, replaced by a new sinister bond. Their story would continue, but now it was not one of tired domesticity. It was a tale of two predators who'd found their perfect prey in each other, ready to carve a path of chaos and murder side by side. As they sipped their pina coladas, the rain began to fall outside, each drop a promise of the thrilling, terrifying escapades yet to come. So, hello again, my dear friends. This is another funny, weird little idea that's been trundling around in the depths of my subconscious for quite a while now. So I finally got down to putting it in words once again, and it's an interesting take on a much-loved song from the 1970s. So I hope this doesn't ruin the song for you, but if it does, I'm sorry. It's an intriguing and much different take on the lyrical content. Let me say that. Okay, so I'm going to stop waffling on now and get on with it. The Yellow Ribbon by Darius McCorkindale. The bus trundled down the lonely road, its engine humming a monotonous tune as it carried its passengers closer to their destinations. Among them sat Tom, his hands trembling slightly as he clutched a worn, much-read draft of a letter. The words were etched into his mind. I'm coming home. I've done my time. Now I have got to know what is and isn't mine. If you received my letter telling you I'd soon be free, then you'll know just what to do if you still want me. Tom had spent 3 long years in prison, his life turned upside down by a bank robbery gone wrong. At least the millions he'd stolen were hidden away, safely stashed in his house, waiting for him. If he could just bide his time, all could still work out well in the end. He wasn't alone in his cell during those years, though. He'd shared it with a man named Mark, a cunning and ruthless criminal who had listened intently to Tom's every word about the money and his plans. Mark had seemingly turned over a new leaf during his time in incarceration and had devised a plan of his own. He would help Tom craft the perfect letter to his wife, Mary, carefully suggesting the words to ensure she would understand the message. Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, Tom had written, his hope pinned on this one simple request. If she still wanted him, she would tie the ribbon, and he would know it was safe to come home. If not, he would stay on the bus and vanish from her life forever. After all their time locked up together in such close proximity, it turned out that Mark was released just a few days earlier than Tom. He had assured Tom that they would work together on the outside, that he would help get him back on his feet, that Mark had great plans that would shape the lives of both of them. As the bus finally approached his hometown, Tom's heart was pounding in his chest. He stared out of the window, searching desperately for the old oak tree in his front yard. He needed to see the ribbon to know that Mary still wanted him, that there was a future waiting for him. The bus driver, sensing Tom's anxiety, slowed as they neared the house. "Bus driver, please look for me," Tom had whispered. "I could not bear to see what I might see." The bus rounded the final bend, and there it was, the old oak tree. Tom's eyes widened in disbelief. It wasn't just one ribbon. The tree was adorned with hundreds of yellow ribbons, fluttering in the breeze like a beacon of hope. The passengers cheered, sharing in his joy. "I'm really still in prison, and my love, she holds the key. A simple yellow ribbon is what I need to set me free," Tom had written. Now here it was, the true symbol of his freedom, of Mary's love. He stepped off the bus, his legs unsteady as he approached the house. As he got closer, he noticed the front door was slightly ajar, and a sense of foreboding washed over him. He called out for Mary as he entered, but the silence that greeted him was chilling. He walked through the house, his heart sinking with each step. The living room was in disarray, furniture overturned and papers scattered across the floor. He moved to the bedroom, dread pooling in his stomach. There, he found Mary. She lay motionless on the bed, her eyes staring blankly at the ceiling, a pool of blood spreading beneath her. Tom fell to his knees, a strangled cry escaping his lips. Beside her he noticed a piece of paper, hastily scrawled. With shaking hands he picked it up and read the words. "The yellow ribbons led me right here. Thanks for everything. Turns out I was the one who got back on the bus. So now you need to forget about us. Mark." Tom's mind raced, piecing together the horror. Mark had been released early, had come to the house and had murdered Mary before stealing the hidden money. The yellow ribbons fluttered mockingly outside, a cruel reminder of the hope and love that had been there, now shattered by betrayal and greed. Despair overwhelmed him as he realized the true cost of his trust. Mark had taken everything from him, leaving nothing but sorrow and death in his wake. Tom staggered out of the house, the ribbons a blur through his tears, and fell to the ground, the weight of his loss crushing him. The bus had long since departed, leaving behind the haunting echoes of a promise broken and a love destroyed. And Mark, with millions in his grasp, had disappeared into the night, his cruel note the only trace of his treachery. Now, to be honest, I'm not really writing anything at the moment because life is just way too hectic. It's a really serious thing. You need to sit down and have ideas, and it takes a long time to put them into words in a way that makes you happy. So there's a reason I'm not really writing very much at the moment. And, well, I have to say that these are some of the most fun stories. It's always nice to try and interpret a song in a different way, and some of those were just ripe for it. I mean, Pina Colada song, it's always like, oh, I'm living with this person, I've lived with this person for all these years, and I never really knew them at all. So that was open for complete subversion. And Tie a Yellow Ribbon, that's a classic from the 70s as well, and I always thought, well, you know, there's that line where he says, if you don't want me, I'll just get on the bus and forget about us. So that sort of sense that this could go either way, happy ending or sad ending, so I kind of tried to bring those both together. So anyway, basically I'm just want to ask you, are there any songs that you'd like me to try and give this treatment to? If so, then please let me know, because it really is fun trying to write this kind of story. Okay, enough. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. Really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams. Bye-bye.